We are live.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
I got up extra early this morning, and so I have been like waiting and waiting for this cacao.
Well, funny enough, I got up extra early this morning and I had my cup of cacao because it was like really, really early. So now I'm really on to just purified water. And yes, I have double mugs today.
Love it. Love it.
Well, it's full on. It's full on. You know what you guys don't know, and forgive me, I'm looking down at my phone for something, but what you guys don't know as listeners is that we get together before we click the button. And so by the time we click the button, we're already halfway through a conversation that you guys don't get to hear. But I do have to share because Julietta showed up very happy, very peppy, and very sing-songy this morning. So we had about a minute and a half left. And I said, let me pull an oracle card. Like, you know, Julietta's like, okay, well, for you, perfect, no problem. Look at the one I pulled for her today, guys. Look at this. Look at this. It says joyful muse inspiration. Julietta's literally been singing to me this morning. So there you go. These are the things that happen behind the scenes.
Yes, indeed. So
I know people are gonna ask. Hold on.
What was your card? Yes.
Right. What was my card? So mine says lost in space, needing direction. So we're off to a great start.
And I'm going to put this right here, right now. At the end of the show, we're going to draw a card for the audience.
Oh, I like that. Okay, I'm ready.
You want to know what card is your card today? You guys stick around till the end. And maybe this is why I'm so peppy. I'm going to tell you the story from this weekend. So, I think I shared last week that this tree in my backyard fell on the sweat mud shed, and so like we had cleaned up a lot of it last week with no power tools. We had an axe, a machete, and a handsaw. So, but on Saturday, my friend Doris showed up with not a like chainsaw, but like I'll call it a mini chainsaw. It's like a 10-inch chainsaw, and I'm gonna say like, wow, like I need one of those. But funny story. So as I'm like, it's electric, it's a corded one, and as I'm like cutting through, all of a sudden there's sparks flying.
Oh boy.
The extension cord like somehow got tangled in the branches of the tree, and I didn't see it. And thank God I was wearing gloves. I cut the electric cord with the chainsaw. And then to make it even worse, like as I was like moving it to get it out of the way, I actually grabbed the spot that I had cut and like gave myself a mini jolt. But I'm like, I like cut a cord with a chainsaw this weekend and didn't die. So
wow, this explains your
I don't know I'm dead.
You're very exuberant today. It's just very exuberant, some leftover electrical impulses there.
And I really hope that my dad and my brother aren't listening to this because they would be very disappointed that I was like, it was crazy too. Like, I don't even know how it happened because Doris was there with me. Like, she didn't see it until the sparks were flying and she's screaming at me. And I'm like, like you stop holding the on button, but it takes a second for it to stop going.
Julietta.
So, yeah. So
people open portals through meditation. People open portals through psychedelics. You're opening portals with electrical cords,
Well, and like electricity has been very much a part of my life as a healer because human body is electric. And so I've been using microcurrent to heal the body instead of macrocurrent. But
well, let this be a call out to the universe. Mr. Wenzel, sir, please send gas-powered chainsaw to Julietta immediately. No more electric. She needs a weekend in the woods. You need to bring her back and get that badge.
No, and here's the funny thing. So since this whole thing happened with the tree falling, we have okay, Merlin's like in the way. So anyway, like we had a call out for a chainsaw. Like we need help with this wood, and so I'm talking to my dad and telling him what's happening. Of course, however many thousands of miles away he is, he's like, well, I have 4 chainsaws. And I'm like, who has 4 chainsaws except for my dad? Well, I'm sure there's plenty of other men out there, men and their tools.
Totally.
But,
I'm sure.
I'm sure he can spare one. It would probably cost as much to ship it down here as it would cost to just buy one. But anyway.
Yeah, I think I know what you're getting for Christmas. That's for sure. So has the shed been freed? Is it over?
The shed is free. The shed is quite damaged. There is talk within the Sweat Lodge community that possibly someone might repair it. I look at it and go, it's not really repairable. I don't know, but we'll see. We have sweat on Saturday, so all of the men can go look at it and grunt and decide what they're going to do with the shed.
You got to do me a favor. You got to video them standing around with their arms crossed, and then create a video using that Home Depot sound. This has to happen. We need this. You can also just do the Florida method and throw a blue tarp over it, like all the other roofs. Just
it does presently have a blue tarp over it.
Of course it does.
Well, the thing is like the purpose of it is protecting those things from the rain.
Sure.
And, more so than anything. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Update next week.
Update next week. Yeah, you think this show is about something mystical. It's really about the adventures of Juliette in her backyard. Well, I had an interesting day in my yard, I will tell you about. Far less dangerous.
No near-death experiences?
What's that?
No near-death experiences.
No, just very uplifting, quite the opposite. So we moved in here about 1.5 years ago, and when we moved in, it's unpacking took like months, and we've had this projects going on outside for, I don't know, 7 months, 10 months. I don't even know. It's like a time warp now. And so I haven't really engaged much with the land because I've been waiting for this project to finish. Like, I don't know, in my head, I kind of like things to go in order, right? So we keep hitting these crazy little roadblocks, like the weather or a tire blows or a piece of equipment or whatever. This project has just a life of its own. And so I realized that I hadn't really tended to the land. Like I hadn't really given the land the love and care and respect and, the whole thing, right? So I went around and I did a giant crystal grid over my property this weekend. I collected probably 9 different crystals and stones that just meant something to me and had really good energy. And so it was fun because, I always buy like little staffs and little things for being out in the woods. And so I got to use it all. And I did not wear any sort of like witchy hat or cape, but man, if I owned a cape, I totally would have worn it. But
for Christmas.
Oh yeah, 100%. One of those ones with the hoods, like a book in the forest. So anywho, so I walked around and it was just so sweet to just stop and listen, and say, okay, I have, I don't know, 100 trees on my property. Which one of you wants to hold this, And everywhere I went, I found a tree that had like a little nook, almost like a little basin, to keep these because I didn't want to place them in there and then have them wash away with the rain. Like, again, being here in North Carolina, we have massive rains, massive winds. We've got snow. Everything gets covered up with leaves. So anyway, I found my really cool spots. I used some of my homemade agua florida to just kind of like cleanse myself in the area. I got sage going, like the whole bit. So I'm really excited to have been able to do that, sit in gratitude and really just connect, so, and because I went around the entire property, like it was a nice little walk and everything. So I'm kind of excited as to what's next. I'm hoping all of these things will, pick up speed and finish up our project so we can get to the next one and etc. So
I love that. So magical.
yeah, it felt really magical. It was nice. The other thing I did this weekend was take my first pottery ceramics class.
I saw that. How was it?
Oh, it was really interesting. I had never held clay. I had never done anything related to any of that. So it was a brand new experience. And the instructor started us off with, he was like, okay, let's make a pot, right? And the word pot was very flexible. So for some reason, I ended up making like a cacao mug. I don't know why, but it just happened. Everyone else had these big bowls or little bowls or different things, and mine just grew up into a cacao mug. So in a couple of weeks, when I get it back, hopefully I will bring that on the show, and hopefully it will be something to be proud of. Other little things, but it was a really fun and cool experience. Highly recommend. A good way to get out of your mind for a while.
Art always is. And for those that don't know, I have a art class. We're combining crystal energy with art on Saturday. So if you're interested in that, reach out. I'll tell you how, where, when, all of that to show up. But I was curious thinking about, because my view of you, like, you don't really like getting your hands dirty. Doing pottery, working with clay is very much getting your hands dirty. So how was that?
I didn't mind getting dirty at all. I have two major aversions. It's probably just a touch of the tism. One is beach sand and the other one is glitter. They both have similar properties where it doesn't come off, right? Mm-hmm. Like you can wash your hands and 3 weeks later, it'll show up in your hair. Like that. Those are the things that I just absolutely can't look at or touch. Now, dirt, clay, paint, all of those things, no problem at all. Why? Because I know that when I go under the water and I wash it, it goes away completely. So no, I did not have any issues with that at all.
Okay.
Now a little insight.
So I think we should get to our topic of the day. How do you embrace imperfection in your healing journey? And I laughed when I read this topic because as a firstborn, I'm the first of a month, like I was born into being a perfectionist. Like I had to do everything perfectly. And I have to say, like, I kind of had a reputation for being the person that always did everything perfectly. And like the most freeing thing of my life was having that realization that it was okay to not be perfect. People would still like me if I wasn't perfect. People would still love me if I wasn't perfect. And there's so much joy and freedom and imperfection. And so for all of my fellow perfectionists out there, I'm like, give yourself the gift of imperfection.
Honestly, I was gonna say, how much time do we have on this show? Because imperfection and healing journey, this is a 50-year story. Like, I could talk about this all day long. The short answer for me, I suppose, is with grace. Give myself a lot of grace. Know that there's bumps and bruises and sometimes deep cuts along the way. And
your use of the words grace, Miss Graciela.
I rarely do I ever embody my name. Like I'm usually pretty klutzy and I have no spatial awareness. And if there's a wall, I will absolutely jam my shoulder into it. So I am not graceful at all. But I do hope I can embody the grace side of it. That's different. But yeah, I mean, I had an experience the other day, part of my healing journey, and the person that was leading me said, by the way, don't make any major decisions over the next 2 weeks. She's like, don't buy a car, don't sell a car, don't get married, don't get divorced, don't close your business, don't open a new business, just keep going. You know what I mean? And I was like, you know what? That's really good advice. And it sounds so silly, but sometimes it just takes someone saying it to you out loud for you to be like, you know what, you're right. I might be, you know, a little extra emotional today. Let me not make any major decisions. Let me sit with this a little bit longer. You know, I have one friend, bless her heart. She absorbs a lot of my craziness. Because I'm like, if I don't tell you, I'm going to put this out on Facebook and destroy my life. So let me just get this off my chest for 1 second. And then she listens to me and then we trade memes and everything's okay. So that's like, okay. So to me, those are quote imperfections, because I know not to dwell in the negative. I know not to sit in self-pity or despair or whatever, but being only human, these things happen. And as long as I pull myself out, I'm okay with that. So yeah. So sometimes you just need a friend to like share shitty memes with, you know.
I know one thing that you said, like, you know, repetition of the message. And sometimes I think like, here we are saying the same thing again, saying the same thing again. And each time we say it in a different way, that like you've heard it 100 times, but Graciela today said it with just the right words, and you were in just the right space to receive that message in that moment. And so, you know, I'm looking at lately, and I'm kind of like, how have I never heard of this woman before? But I'm probably going to butcher her name. Florence Scovel Shim, I think is her name. This woman from, like the 1920s is when I think the one book I looked at the copyright was like 1928 or something like that.
Which, by the way, is 100 years ago.
Oh my God, yes. I didn't even like think of that. Yes. So she was around 100 years ago. It's interesting, like hearing the stories that she tells about, like she teaches you a spiritual law and then talks about like examples of how that came to be. And it's so interesting because you can tell like she's speaking from 1920s culture as opposed to present day, because sometimes you just want to roll your eyes because you see like where women were at back then. Wow. But her like I think one of her books is called Your Word is Your Wand. But she speaks a lot about using words to manifest. And then I just bought again, because I give them away every time I buy them, the 4 agreements. And of course, the 4 agreements, one of them is be impeccable with your word. And so just thinking about, here are 2 very different people coming from very different cultures that are essentially teaching you the exact same message. And with that, I'm also going to say the reason I bought the 4 agreements is I am going to do a book group. So if you're listening to this and you want to join in reading the 4 agreements together, and we'll have Zoom calls to process the information and share our insights. And so, yeah. And then maybe after that, I'll do a book club with Your Word is Your Wand, or she has 4 books. And so I just bought the complete collection, which I'm guessing is it's 4 books in one, but from what I'm looking at, I think they're very small books. So, but I'm very curious.
Digestible. Well, that's good. And I love the point that you bring up, because the truth is, no matter what spiritual path you follow, no matter who you worship or follow or pray to or don't pray to, or whatever it is. And this is why our forum is so open and not particularly anything in particular, is because they're all valid, like no matter who you pray to, praying is still words out loud, trying to manifest what you want in life, right? And so health, wealth, all of the things, abundance in every way, right? There is not one spiritual path that gets it done better than the other. Last I checked, everybody is equally as successful and in trouble. as everyone else. So, I love that the principles that we talk about are really go across all paths and all belief systems, because it just makes sense no matter what century you're in. If you're reading Rumi, and you're reading, a Beyonce lyric today, love is love is love, the story is the same, unrequited love is forever, the passionate love is forever, all of these things that we're going through, it's not new. When I in one of my many jobs, I used to train the new girls. Every time a new girl would come in, I was the trainer. And I always used to say, if it feels like you're doing it the hard way, you probably are. You're not the first person to do this. You won't be the last. If it feels like you're struggling, ask somebody, right? And that's why when we talk about healing journey, I'm always asking for help. Always. Somebody out there has done this. I don't like struggling. Just tell me what to do. What are my options, right? So to me, that's an important lesson as well.
Yeah. Two things that I want to touch on. One is that if I were still living in my perfectionist world, this podcast would not exist.
Oh.
And and looking at over the years of doing this, I think this is episode 277, something like that, or 278 maybe, which is insane to me. Even like in the beginning stages too, like I had an editor and someone who went and did all the extra things, and then realizing like, ugh, it's just costing a lot of money, and like coming to this simplified version that we do now. There's no editing, there's no nothing, like either you like it or you don't. It's all good, and it lives here in its my imperfect lighting that drives Graciela crazy, and the cat walking through, and sometimes the dog barking. It's all perfectly imperfect. And then the other thing, because multiple times now hearing you say the healing journey, and like just to remind the whole world out there that healing is not a destination, it is a journey. And this comes up frequently, in my healing space, that yes, you might come in and see me because you have a pain somewhere, and that pain might go away, but that's not necessarily the end of your healing journey. That's just that portion has completed healing. But trust me, there is always space for healing. And to me, healing is just returning to your true, authentic self, which is your divinity. And so if you've already arrived at pure divinity, congratulations, but you're also probably not here on this 3D dimensional realm anymore.
But thanks for listening to the show, because I mean, if you're that evolved and you're listening to the show, like, phenomenal. Let us know. We'll give you the VIP treatment. I think you bring up a really excellent point about journey. And I think that we need to expand that even bigger. I think a lot of our way of being teaches us to stop at milestones, right? Like turning double digits, hitting your 20s, hitting your 40s or 50s, or as soon as I get that degree, I'll be happy. Or we're dating, and as soon as we get married, we're going to be in complete bliss. Or if I could just be a mother, as soon as I become a mother, I will be the highest, happiest I will have ever been. Or anything, right? If I reach a certain dollar in my bank account. And so we have like this goal mentality that once you reach a certain level, it's like you crossed the finish line and you made it. And to me, that is like the biggest farce that has ever been thrown onto humanity. Like, there is not one thing in my life that I have not experienced where, yes, the joy may last for X amount of time, or the sadness may last for X amount of time, but it always evolves. And if we can sit in the joy of the evolution, then you win, right? Like, I have been in entire relationships that we hit a certain point in a relationship where we're like, man, this is bliss, this is amazing, and then never grew from there, right? Because we had hit that super high point. And guess what? That relationship failed because it did not evolve, right? Now the relationship I'm in, I'm much older, have done a lot of the work, right? And now I realize, okay, the joy is in the change, which is not how we're raised, right? We're raised in absolutes. Our schooling system, our, every system, right? If you just do this one thing, or if you just reach this goal weight, right? And it's all a lie. Get comfortable with the journey, get comfortable with the change, love the change, right? I keep repeating that one TikTok or whatever it was that I saw. This guru said, if you really want to be happy, accept everything. And I was like, wow, mind blowing, right? If you accept each of these changes, getting a little more wrinkly, getting a little more gray, getting whatever, creating in any direction, it's still change. So if you accept the change, man, so much easier, so much less friction.
Absolutely. You feel like pulling the card?
I was gonna say, you ready for a card? Okay, we'll pull a card. This is for our audience.
Before you pull it, like everybody who's watching this right now, like get clear with your intention. Like, is that a question, a guidance? Like, what do you want support with in your life? Like, get clarity on that before she pulls the card. And then understand, like, obviously everybody's getting the same card here, but this is exactly the message, the answer to the question, the guidance that you're looking for right now. So I feel like drum roll.
Yeah, it feels like that. Okay, here we go.
Bum-ba-da-da.
Wow. Sky Bridge, possibility for union. Sky Bridge, possibility for union. It's a very beautiful card.
It is.
That's a second longer.
And for the people who are only listening on the audio, can you describe the picture a little bit for them?
Sure. Yeah. So the picture is, oh my goodness, how do you describe the undescribable? It has it looks like stone, a rough stone staircase heading into a giant sun or ball of energy. And then there's two giant stone pillars reaching up into the sky. And call me crazy, but that looks like electricity right up at the top, probably from Julietta's story.
And I also, for our people that are numerology based, the card is also number 47, and 47 is also an 11, and 11 is also a 2, but 11 is a master number. So, but my number people out there, you know what I'm talking about. So sometimes for me, like reading for those cards that do have numbers on it, sometimes the number is just as significant as the message and the image. And yes, so
yeah, I love that. And for those that are curious, because I know what will come up, this is the deck that I am pulling from. It's called the Shaman's Dream Oracle. It's very, very beautiful. If I'm not mistaken, this is a Hay House product. I love them. So I hope that means something to you. And if not, like we tell everybody, sit with it. The answer may not come right this second. The answer may come in a couple of days. See what it means to you. It says possibility for union, and that could mean a lot of different things. So
it can mean a lot of different things. Also, I would love, like, if that message like resonated with you and helped you in any way. I would love for you to share that with us. So either in the comments or reach out. Like, you know how to find us. We're everywhere.
I love it.
Awesome. All right. You got anything else?
I'm good.
I'm good too. So I want to wish everybody an electrically magical day.
Godspeed.